Hello, and welcome to another video blog of the disappearing scar. As always, I'm Scott Williams, and today I'd like to show you guys a little bit about what's exactly going on in my brain. By now, hopefully you've realized that I have an aneurysm, but aside from hearing about it on TV, you probably don't know much about it. So I'm going to try to show you through some various pictures of my actual brain what's going on and why it needs to be fixed. So the first scan that really showed what was going on was called a CTA scan, which is just a CT scan with dye. So they inject you with dye a little bit before they take all the pictures, so it makes all the blood vessels show a lot brighter. Now what you're going to see here is actually a photograph from the CT scan of my brain. In the middle you'll see what's known as the circle of Willis. And what this does is basically it moves the blood flow to every different artery in the brain so that if anything gets cut off, since it's circular, it can just run the other way. Now you'll see my actual aneurysm here is indicated on the right by the arrow, which is a little confusing because in reality it's actually on the left side of my brain. The reason they do this is so that when you're holding up the photo directly to the person, it matches up. Now, as you can see, when compared to the other side of my brain, the aneurysm is much larger. It basically looks swollen, almost like a little potato. This is what's called a fusiform aneurysm. Now, as you can see here, this is a different look at the same area. Fusiform aneurysm is basically when the entire vessel is swollen, whereas a more typical aneurysm, which is either a saccular or berry aneurysm, is more that one end of it will swell up and it'll actually look like a little berry, hence the term berry. Now, if you actually look very closely to the affected area, you can actually see little berry aneurysms on the end of there, so that gives you a better idea on how you could see the difference. Now, after we had that, they did a more extensive test, which is known as a cerebral angiogram or an arteriogram. It's a much more invasive test. It takes a whole day to really do it. An hour to actually do the test and several hours to recover. And basically, the way it's done is by sticking a very large catheter all the way up. Now, you'll see here, this is actually a picture of my neck and skull, and you can see on the left side, that's actually the catheter having been run all the way up from my groin all the way up into my brain. Which sounds painful, but they give you plenty of drugs, so it's not too bad. And what it does give you is a much better idea of what's going on there and some great pictures. Now, this is actually a 3D rendering of the aneurysm, and you can see where the arrow is pointing. There's actually some discoloration there, and it's not nearly as smooth as a lot of the other blood vessels that you can see in the picture. And this is actually one of the primary reasons why they chose to operate. A lot of times for someone my age, specifically with the fusiform type of aneurysm, they may choose to wait and just monitor it because it's a relatively low risk of damage occurring to the vessel relative to the risk that's inherent with these kind of surgeries. Now we're going to switch to another photo here, and you can actually see this is the opposite side. This is the bottom of the aneurysm, and as I pointed out before, there's a number of little bumps which are called daughter aneurysms, and this makes this particular aneurysm very susceptible to bleeding, and that's ultimately why they chose to do the surgery and why I chose to do the surgery. So the question, of course, becomes, how do you fix it? Well, in this case, they're actually going to take what is basically a titanium clip and cut off the part that is bulging out. And the way they do this is the little clip actually just kind of looks like a little chip clip, as I've shown here on the screen, and it'll be there forever, and it basically just blocks off that excess area from the blood flow, and it'll just sit there and not do anything. And the second part of that is, as my doctor explains, they're going to fashion the aneurysm a pair of pants. And basically what that means is they're going to take a velour fabric, not dissimilar to a stent that you would put inside a vein, and just wrap it around to protect it from any future bleeds. So hopefully that gives you a good idea on what's actually been going on in my head, and that leads us to basically the 1 week mark. In 1 week I'll be going under the knife, and hopefully everything will go well, and I'll have lots of blogs afterwards so you can see how I recover. Thanks.